must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.
Very good morning to you, and thank you again for joining us. About 24 minutes past 11 a.m. here in Nairobi, and there's a topic I had wanted for us to look at yesterday, but the one we had, yesterday we extended it because it was important for us to have that conversation on the recent events here in Kenya, in line with the IMF, funds that we have talked about this morning and exhausted. So right now, I'd like for us to just move on to something else that is also very important, and that is the BBI. And according to the Star newspaper yesterday, I'll just read a bit of it. The story is on page 6 of the Star newspaper yesterday, and the title is Legislators Strike Deal on BBI Bill After Experts' Opinion. Legislators sitting in the Joint Parliamentary Committee on the BBI Bill have hammered a deal to end the standoff that had threatened to delay the processing of the bill. This, even as it emerged that Justice and Legal Affairs Committee ruled out any possibility of a special parliament sitting to consider the bill, putting the planned June referendum into disarray. Both houses have adjourned until next month in a bid to maintain the spread of COVID-19 pandemic. The Senate is expected to resume plenary session on May 11th, with the sister house resuming on May 4th. Senators and members of National Assembly sitting in the committee have agreed not to amend the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. Initially, senators had insisted that Parliament's role in the constitutional amendment cannot be ceremonial, and pushed for reopening of the bill against the wishes of their counterparts in the National Assembly, sparking a standoff. So that is where we shall start our conversation today. And joining me on the panel is Douglas Kirimi, Daniel Wasonga, Jevan Karanja, Musa Abdi, Marlene Washera, and Professor Jared Onyari. So, Prof, I know you are very categorical about those changes that I think it is Senate and Parliament also wanted to introduce in the Amendment Bill 2020, and you said even if they added a full stop or removed a full stop, that will be enough for you to not vote for this bill, because as Kenyans appended their bill, that should have been the end of it. But we saw Parliament was seeking to find a leeway and to change some of the articles there in the BBI. So no, they have agreed that they will not have any changes on this bill. How do you feel about that, Professor? Okay, so Prof is not there. I'll start with Douglas Kirimi then.
Thank you, Miriam. One thing that comes to mind when changes are said to be introduced to the BBI report, this is a document that we had over 2 years to be able to interrogate, to be able to give our own opinion, personal opinion, group opinion, and even today, we don't want that BBI report to be able to be subjected to other structural changes again, because at the end of the day, Miriam, it is the people of Kenya. The Senate itself derives their mandate from the people of Kenya, which they exercise indirectly. So when these people try today to be able to come and derail the process by introducing new changes again, it is something that is unacceptable. The people of Kenya have decided to be able to, number one, to exercise their power directly through the ballot for the BBI report. And at the end of the day, if this bill is taken through the thorough changes that they want to be able to introduce today, it defeats the meaning and purpose of the whole report, because they keep mutilating the report until it does not suit of the people that want them to be able to make those changes. And another perspective, Miriam, is that when the Senate continues and does those changes, the National Assembly will say they want to do other changes. And Miriam, this opens the question, did we not close the door for any changes to the BBI report? Would we allow other people and other groups to be able to accommodate their own opinion to the same? Now, at the end of the day, these people who sit at the Senate today, I disagree with any changes to the BBI report. It needs to be taken to the people the way it is. This is a bill that was passed at the county assembly level, and the people have been able to give their ideals and aspirations as contained in that report. So we don't need any changes to the BBI report, because it will open a front gate for questions. Why would we keep talking about doing these changes? These members of parliament had an opportunity to be able to rate the people of Kenya. Have these changes done by themselves? It is an opportunity for the people of Kenya to exercise their constitutional mandate that they have given to their members of parliament and senate, to exercise it directly by voting for the changes that they want to the constitution of the Republic of Kenya. The Senate cannot pre-exist the report as it came from the people of Kenya. The Senate, the National Assembly, or any organ cannot be able to pre-exist the people of Kenya, whose mandate has been handed to them and whose supremacy is above even the constitution. Even the constitution itself cannot be able to pre-exist the people of Kenya. And Miriam, from my perspective, is that I don't support any changes to this, because at the end of the day, it is meant to mutilate this report and be able to defeat the soul and the sole purpose of the report by the people of Kenya, for the people of Kenya. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Senators and members of the National Assembly sitting in the committee have agreed not to amend the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. And initially, senators had insisted that Parliament's role in the constitutional amendment cannot be ceremonial, and pushed for opening of the bill against the wishes of their counterparts in the National Assembly, sparking a standoff. Now, we will come and discuss that other part of that statement, but I mean, Senate and members of the National Assembly have agreed that this bill cannot, no changes can be made on this bill. Samuel Tawish.
Very well. Thank you so much, Miriam, and the rest of the panelists and our viewers who are watching us from wherever they are. I think, Miriam, this was something that was long overdue. And personally, from where I sit, I'm not really surprised that the joint parliamentary committees of justice and legal affairs, drawn from both the National Assembly and the Senate, have finally made that decision, finally come out with that pronouncement that they cannot effect any changes or amendments to the proposed bill that was actually brought to Parliament rather. So basically, because the membership of this particular committee is actually consists rather of high-profile lawyers, like I've said before, people, most of whom have even participated in previous processes of making of our constitution. For example, the 2010 constitution, when you talk about Dr. Otienda Molo, when you talk about James Sorengo, these are renowned lawyers, and others actually. They participated hugely and gave immense contribution to the constitution that we are operating with at the moment. But what I wanted to underscore is that these leaders, lawmakers, understanding too well that they could not effect any amendments or changes to this bill, because again, that will be against the spirit of the constitution itself. We're just doing this by virtue of formality, that they had to maybe take through or have that process of, for example, public participation once more when the bill came to Parliament, so that it doesn't appear like it came from the county assemblies to the IBC, then IBC again, to the assemblies, and then, the National Assembly just decided to sit one day and passed or rejected the bill as it were. So I think they were just going through that formality process of going to public participation, but they knew it very well that they could not effect any changes. But if at all there was any motive to have any changes in this particular bill, then it means there are individuals within this committee or even outside forces who are trying to sabotage or derail the entire process of trying to effect amendments to our 2010 constitution. That also was coming to the fore. But we have to agree as a people and as a country that constitutions worldwide are not static, they are dynamic. Constitutions actually do change. Like, for example, if I was to give an instance of South Africa, they had a new constitution, I believe, if I'm not wrong, to 1994 or thereabout. But from then, they have had to effect changes, almost 17 times ever since they had the new constitution. What is it that is so surprising? What is it that is so funny? What is it that is a vocabulary for Kenya to make one single amendment, over 10 years after promulgation of the 2010 new constitution? So Kenyans should not be, they should not feel like there's something that is being pushed down their throat. This is something that is normal in any democracy, because again, this constitution have to serve the interests of the people. If we have found it, and remember, even Miriam and the panelists, and even everyone who is watching us, when we are passing this constitution in 2010, I remember it was widely agreed that there was 20% which was not correct. That will let us pass this constitution as it is, then we'll have another chance later on to do amendments on the 20%, to try and perfect it, to try and tighten the loose ends. I think this is the opportunity that has been presented to Kenyans to try and correct some of these loopholes, some of the lacunas that we have in our constitution. So we have to gladly accept and agree that this is a process that genuinely seeks to bring a new change, to bring a new dawn to how our leadership is going to be run in this country, how we are going to have more resources at the county level, how we are going to have people who are engaging in corruption being held accountable, how we are going to ensure that the youth of this country have an opportunity when they are seeking for job opportunities, when they are starting up their businesses. There are a lot of hurdles and roadblocks that the young people have been experiencing, especially those who are coming out from school. And it's unfortunate that the same politicians who are trying to frustrate an initiative such as this are the ones who are trying to exploit that gap and use and misuse the young people or the young generation in our country. So I'm glad that members of parliament have made that move, and we are waiting eagerly with bated breath to see moving forward how this bill is going to be endorsed at the National Assembly so that Kenyan people can have the final say at the ballot. Miriam, I submit.
Okay, thank you so much, Sir Walter Wish. Now, Parliament, of course, Senate and the National Assembly agreeing there not to make any changes on the Amendment Bill 2020. Well, they were not supposed to do that according to the Constitution, but they were still insisting. And so I think a while back here, we were looking at perhaps the intentions as to why they thought they were looking for a leeway to try to amend this against the wishes or against, the Constitution. Because if it's a popular initiative, then Parliament's role there is ceremonious, and that is what happened in 2010 and all that. So I don't know why they thought this time it will be different. And so we questioned the intentionality of that move there, but it seems to have receded now, which is what was expected. So what do you make of this new move here, Daniel Basonga, and perhaps the intentions they had then, and if at all, part of that has been met in other ways, and so now they're like, let's just go ahead. We're not interested in amending any part of the 2020 constitutional bill there.
Miriam, as my brother Rich has said, that a constitution amended everywhere, and one thing you should know that a constitution is a living document, and every now and then it will be amended to suit the interests of the people at any particular point in time. So therefore, saying that the Constitution 2010 should not be amended, it will be very vague of a statement, so to say, because we believe that this Constitution that we have right now is a hybrid constitution, is a mixture of the British kind of government that we inherited from our colonial masters, and part of it, something like devolution, has been gotten from Americans, the way they have their federal system of government. So therefore, when you're bringing together all these aspects of the Constitution, it leaves you with a document which is not seamless, it is not perfect, so to say. So we always will have those areas of the Constitution, like the third gender rule, you understand, which had thrown us into some kind of quagmire, and we had to address it. And so many other issues, Miriam, in the Constitution that need to be addressed sufficiently. So therefore, I think those are one of the opinions that we can just go ahead and implement the 2010 Constitution without looking at the areas which are gritty and quite need some revamp. They are not quite honest with themselves. And I remember some of the people who were actually opposed to the 2010 constitutions have become the greatest proponents of its implementation, someone like the Deputy President William Ruto. So it could beg for a question, Miriam, what is it that has changed with the 2010 constitution that they deem it quite sufficient enough that they could not see when we were having a vote over having this new constitution? So that tells you that at least we agree, even the proponents and the antagonists of the 2010 constitutions, that we have some clauses that have to be amended, and therefore this drives the need to have the conversation around the BBI and the constitutional referendum that is slated to happen later this year. I submit.
Okay, thank you so much. Chairman Karanja, what do you make of this new move?
That is a move that is, I welcome it with both hands, because if the members of parliament altered the document, Miriam, we could have gone back to zero process, because we could be sent back to Kenyans, opening and creating more room to engage the document, to bring more recommendations, to bring more proposals. But the document as it was, Miriam, and I have said this and I will reiterate, the document it contains proposals made by Kenyans. And when we hand the handshake, it is President Uhuru Kenyatta representing the government as the head of state, with former Prime Minister representing the opposition, having their supporters. They represented them in the handshake. And the most important thing, handshake was not limited to two of them. That is why they opened room for dialogue through BBI, to make sure that we are all part of this handshake and the offspring of BBI. Therefore, members of parliament should understand that BBI and the constitutions, these are things that govern the people. This constitution is not limited to members of parliament or senators only. This is a document that is for all Kenyans. Therefore, it could be unfair if we allowed the members of document. And finally, Miriam, let Kenyans read the document and understand the contents. Let Kenyans, when we start the campaigns, the educations and the advocacy and awareness, let everybody have a one-on-one interaction with the BBI so that they can understand what BBI means and the implications that it will have in future in terms of governance, in terms in the fight against corruption, in terms of defensive election. But the most important thing that catches my eye on the BBI issue is the issue of defensive elections and the issue of inclusivity, Miriam. If we can deal with these two things exhaustively, Miriam will have a better country. We'll be able to fight corruption. We'll be able to achieve all these other recommendation. If we have a good and honest government, we will have enlightened voters. If we have inclusive as a country, then we'll be able to achieve all these other recommendations of BBI. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I think the last time you were having this conversation, there were two sticky issues there, and one of them was the delimitation of the 70 constituencies that have been proposed in the BBI, and also the ombudsman office that will be introduced there, the judicial ombudsman office there. But also very interesting, I think, is it the Star I read, that according to whatever issues that were sticky in Parliament, there are actually 7. And one of them was the multiple choice referendum. And I wondered, where has that even come from? Why is that even an issue there? Because okay. Musa Amdi, the latest move by Parliament and by Senate to agree that this BBI, no amendments can be done to it.
Miriam, thank you so much. And I would like just to take you back to history a bit on these issues of amendment, Miriam. And I'm not speaking as a victim per se, or I will speak more of, being apologetic. No. Miriam, today I will blame the National Assembly of Kenya in the year 2013 and 2011 and 2012, Miriam, for abandoning the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission. The report, the TJRC report by Bethel Kiplagat, Miriam. Mwai Kibaki and even President Uhuru Kenyatta forgot about it, not because of anything. The people who passed the law, Miriam, the people who put those recommendations and advise the executive to implement them, Miriam, at the National Assembly. But sad enough, Miriam, all these reports which have been presented to them, the Kriegler report, the Waki report, the Ndongo report, Miriam, the final one, the Truth, Justice and Reconciliation Commission, which Miriam talks about some of the darker moments this country has passed through as far as massacre and violence is concerned, have never been put in action. So when no amendment has been made, Miriam, I will politically say maybe that indeed it has a stronger political goodwill. That is the reason why these members of parliament could not interfere with it, Miriam. And per se, what do you have to refine if indeed as Douglas have put it, the people who have elected you to be there have refined it even better. And I know at least the report has escaped the trap which Professor Onyari used to refer to as the Naivasha trap. And secondly, Miriam, the report, one thing I'm really concerned about is the consciousness and the true integrity of those people who are handling this report. The problem is not passing the report or passing the report as it is. The problem is whether you are going to implement it, whether the power you propose to have is going to be more or less than the report itself, Miriam. So I don't have any problem. Anyway, Senate, maybe this politically is a good time to maybe, let's say, Miriam and even the National Assembly to kind of refurbish their darker or, the dirty name they have been known with, Miriam. At least the best they can do is to pass this bill, unamended as they have done. That's a good thing. We know the parliament, we know the National Assembly, Miriam, in political analysis, as one of the darker houses, which is just more of a statue than a house making law. So for Kenyans, it's a plus, Miriam. And being given the time factor, Miriam, we are heading into election. I don't want to see a Kenya where we postpone our election, Miriam, from 4th of August. We don't want to be like Burundi.
7.
We don't want to be like Democratic Republic of Congo. I submit, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much, Musa. Marlene Washera.
Thank you, Miriam. And what I'll say is I'll support Musa Abdi by saying people should accept this motion because it's a fresh start. We can be done with the old ways and in with the new ones. If people just accept it and stop, pointing the wrong and the right, we cannot satisfy everybody's needs. We should just leave the bygones and turn a new leaf. That is what people should be actually looking at it as. Thank you very much, Miriam.
Okay, thank you so much, Prof. I don't know if you're back. Professor? Well, very well. So Prof is not there.
Miriam, just in case Prof is not around, maybe just if you'll allow me some latitude to add on one point. I think generally the panelists in this program this morning will not be surprised that we have high-profile lawyers, like I said initially, actually who are making up these Justice and Legal Affairs committees drawn from both the National Assembly and the Senate. And I mean Kenyans who are perturbed to listen people like James Orengo and others come out and say there is open window or room for us to effect any amendments or changes to this bill. Yet, like rightly put it, Miriam, is that this is a proposed law change through a popular initiative, in which case Parliament cannot do any amendments, Parliament cannot do any changes. It just goes through the National Assembly as a formality. By the way, there are two ways only in which we can actually have a change in our constitution. One is through a parliamentary process. Another one is through a popular initiative like the one we are having on the BBI bill. It is only through a parliamentary initiative that you can have any changes, because sometimes they're introduced by private members and maybe lawmakers at the floor of the House can decide maybe this is the way it should be done. They can effect some changes at the floor of the House, on the floor of the House rather. But now when you come to the popular initiative route, there is nothing absolutely that the National Assembly can actually do. And same is to the county assemblies. You remember we started all this process from actually going and collecting views from Kenyans. We went into validation process. We went again into IEBC collecting signatures from the entire country and taking this bill to the county assemblies for passage or rejection, and in which case it got an overwhelming endorsement, where we got over 40 county assemblies actually endorsing this bill to go to the assembly. So I think what these lawmakers were trying to do, especially the jailer, was to try and create some mischief, in the sense that they saw the MCAs at the county level saying, or giving some conditions, like they needed some car grants or car loans for them to actually unanimously pass this bill. So they thought maybe this will also be a room for JLAC maybe to actually create some roadblocks or hurdles towards seeing this process actually to its logical conclusion. So, but in this case, because again, when you see those lawyers coming out and saying it is impossible for them to effect any changes, when every layman, including you and me, Miriam, who are not even lawyers in the first place, know it very well that our Kenyan Constitution 2010 does not give any window within which maybe the lawmakers can effect any changes towards a popular initiative. So in this case, I think because our lawmakers are used to these mischiefs to try and hold hostage, for example, sometimes even government or individuals or sometimes even companies. You've seen them when they are doing vettings, when they are trying to interrogate some companies or individuals, they want to get some a few kickbacks so that they can maybe sanitize or give a clean bill of health on whatever kind of processes that we are having in this country. Unfortunately, they are actually deviating from their core mandate, which is one, oversight, another one is representation, and another one is lawmaking. So it's as basic as that. And on this question, they have nothing to do but just to allow this process to actually go through the formal way so that Kenyans can have a referendum. They cannot in any way actually put any roadblocks or impediments towards this process, Miriam, I submit.
Thank you so much, Tawish, for that analysis there. So we've looked at the possible reasons as to why this tug of war continued between Parliament and Senate there in regards to this Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, because initially senators had insisted that Parliament's role in the constitutional amendment cannot be ceremonial and pushed for opening of the bill against the wishes of the counterparts in the National Assembly, sparking a standoff. So the National Assembly did not have a problem, but Senate seems to have had a problem, and they're saying our role cannot just be ceremonial. And the people who are complaining about this were part of the people who are part of the making of the 2010 Constitution, and so they knew that is in the Constitution, all right? So outside of these other reasons that we've looked at and we've discussed here before, the supremacy battle that now we've seen, and we saw it even during the discussion of the the revenue allocation there went to Senate, and and all that, and what we've been seeing happening there. Is there a possible supremacy battle between Senate and the National Assembly? And, Senate was just trying to flex its muscles because, Parliament is also having a feeling of, we are also important here. And Senate, we don't have an upper house here, but sometimes wants to act as, and we know the key role of Senate is to oversight, the counties and the government per se. So is it a supremacy battle? Did Senate want to just prove a point, or they had a point in why they thought it was important there to amend, which is against the Constitution? And Tawish, you said that Senate, we have so many lawyers, people who understand the law, but still, it didn't matter. Douglas.
Thank you, Miriam. For Senate, I don't have much to say, and also I don't have good things to say about the Senate of the Republic of Kenya, because Miriam, they have failed terribly on their oversight role in terms of county oversight, and also in terms of defense of corruption. Miriam, we have seen these people not move out of their way to be able to defend the counties as they are supposed to, as per the law, and also the increase of resources to the counties and all that. We have not seen this Senate in the Republic of Kenya competitively, go out of their way and also make sure that they can be able to advocate for the issues that concern counties and all that. What we have seen from our National Senate today is that they are in competition with the National Assembly, which is not supposed to be the case. They are supposed to be two separate houses, but gearing towards the good of the common person, the good of the common man. At the end of the day, what we are seeing is a vicious supremacy battle. What the National Assembly can do, Senate wants to be able to exercise their muscles and show the people of Kenya that they can be able to do that better. But at the end of the day, we need to ask ourselves a simple question. Why is the Senate of the Republic of Kenya feeling that they need to be able to be in a supremacy battle with the National Assembly? The Constitution of the Republic of Kenya 2010 gave the Senate few powers in terms of what they.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we apologize for that. Douglas Kirimi just suffered their technical hitch, but once he's able to be back, he will complete his thought process there. Jevan Karanja.
Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Miriam, for that question. And I'd say that maybe it's not really a supremacy battle, but we have seen severally, not once nor twice, the county, the parliament, the National Assembly, and the Senate trying to weigh which is the upper house. And it's something that we need still to understand.
They think they can be able to do, and also in terms of their...
Okay, sorry for that. All right. Jevin, go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. And therefore, we need to understand, and they need to have their mandate well stipulated to avoid this kind of pull and push, because they really don't understand which one is the supreme. But to me, I see the Senate as being the upper house, because you have seen a lot of big registration after being discussed at the National Assembly. They are taken to Senate. To me, I think it is the upper house. Therefore, members of the National Assembly should accept that. But Miriam, the law of the Senate, they are the custodians of the devolution. But we have seen them abandon that and getting into national discourse, into national conversation, into national debates that might not really help to shape the future of devolution or to empower the devolution. Therefore, it is high time that these members of parliament, they understand their roles, understand their duties, so that to avoid all these kind of things. Because we have seen, and we have a problem with the members of the Senate. I don't know whether when some of them are going for the senatorial position, they thought it was the most powerful thing and that they will have to control resources, because we have seen them not only fighting with the members of the National Assembly, but also having a tussle with governors and MCAs. Therefore, we need the constitution to stipulate the duties of senators, because media go around the country, and this is in public domain. Majority of Kenyans really don't know the work of these senators. And to some extent, the senators themselves have proved not to know what they're doing. Therefore, they need to come up and style up, and they discuss issues that will empower devolution, things that will make devolution more smooth, things that will ensure that our governors are not misusing our resources. Them as the supervisors, they should not engage with this pull and push with the National Assembly, which has roles to play in terms of registrations, in terms of oversight, in terms of other mandate as given by the people of Kenya. You know, the senators don't control any kitty in terms of development or so on. Therefore, their role duty should be oversighting the devolution to ensure that Kenyans are getting services, our devolved units are running smoothly. That is where the energy should be directed, Miriam. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Very unrelated. I don't know if you've seen those memes of Kenyans calling IMF and saying, you know what, don't send President Uhuru Kenyatta that money. I'll give you my M-Pesa money. Send every Kenyan their part. Kenyans are ridiculous. All right, very unrelated. But Musa Abdi, was this perhaps a supremacy battle between the Senate and Parliament, or what do you think inspired this opinion that Parliament had taken, that Senate had taken, in line with wanting to change parts of that bill, knowing very well that the Constitution does not even allow?
Thank you, Miriam. To my own opinion, I don't think Kenyan government or that legislature arm of the government have that capacity of having the supremacy battle, Miriam. We've never seen, especially in this parliament, whereby supremacy battle have really been drawn, except back in the time on issues of resources allocation to the county between the 335 billion and 316 billion, I suppose. So for me, I think it was just as what Tarwisha.
Mm-hmm. Okay, another problem there.
A purge, as I put it earlier, just a purge for common, or independent.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we seem to be having some technical difficulties also from Musa.
Yes, so as far as I'm concerned, just to submit a bit, my internet is going low. I think they made a good decision to submit the report without any pressure for amendment. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Musa. I'll go to Marlene Washera. What do you think was happening here when, Senate was insisting we have to change these, some of these articles, knowing very well that it... Just hold on, not mine. Let's just wait for production to sort out. It's from Musa's side. Just a bit of a technical difficulty there, but it will be sorted out very soon. And then, Marlene, you can give me your opinion on, do you think this was just a supremacy battle between Senate and National Assembly that we see sometimes play out, or were there other motives there? Marlene, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Miriam. Obviously, you know this. Kenyans must fight for this bone. Every Kenyan in a position, if they're given something to deal with, somebody wants to be on the higher board, which is okay. We're used to that. As Karanta said, they should put that aside and focus on what is on the table. Another thing is that Karanja said that if you go to Common Mwananchi, they don't even know the difference between a Senate and these other parties.
National Assembly.
Yes, the National Assembly. They don't know what this one is supposed to do or the other is supposed to do, because themselves don't even know what they're supposed to do, because they're busy worrying about other things and not what is important. So if they did what they're supposed to do, we will not even, it should not even be a competition. They should not fight for this one. Thank you, Miriam. I submit.
Thank you so much. And we're also joined by Professor. Professor, we're looking at the new move there. Senators and members of the National Assembly sitting in the committee have agreed not to amend the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. And what the part that now we are looking at is initially senators had suggested that Parliament's role in the constitutional amendment cannot be ceremonial and pushed for opening of the bill against the wishes of their counterparts in the National Assembly, sparking a standoff. Now, let me just add a bit of that story, and then you can come in, Professor. The Star, from yesterday's Star newspaper, the Star has also established that the Senate wing of the joint panel has separately engaged the former members of the defunct committee of experts that drafted the 2010 Constitution on their views on the role of Parliament in the Constitution Amendment drive by a popular initiative. Some of us have met some of the people who sat in the committee of experts, and the idea of Parliament attempting to move a comma is not even possible, and that is according to Makueni Senator Mutula Kilonzo. Did they not know this in the first place, Professor? Or is it, we're wondering, is it a supremacy battle between Senate and Parliament?
Miriam, one of the things the members of the National Assembly and the Senate, they should know, they are a parliament. So one should not see themselves that they are separate. No, they are just interdependent, Miriam. They are parliament. That's what the Constitution refers them. And that's why they can be able to have a joint meeting, because the Constitution allows them to do that, Miriam. Having said that, Miriam, the drafters of the Constitution, Miriam, they knew what Parliament can do and what the citizen can do under Article 256 and under 257, Miriam. Even those the experts, Miriam, they are trying to consult Miriam. They have no basis in law. The Constitution does not recognize them. If they have got any other issue, Miriam, that they want to do, perhaps they can go to the Supreme Court for advisory opinion to advise them what can happen. The Supreme Court, Miriam, can pronounce itself whether they are supposed to be a conduit, Miriam. So, Miriam, after more than 1 million Kenyans, Miriam, had appended their signatures, Miriam, it became a popular initiative, Miriam, which cannot be touched, Miriam. We cannot go under Article 256, Miriam. That is their area. And they cannot come under Article 257, which is under the people of Kenya, be it as it may, Miriam. These members, you saw them in Bomas 1. Were they not in Bomas 1? When they go there, they sleep. They were in the parliament in Bomas 2. I saw them, Miriam, they go to Naivasha. I don't want to be nasty, Miriam. Whether they take the sides out, they call out, you call them, I don't know. Side is, I don't know what they take, so that they cannot have a concentration, Miriam. Miriam, this process has not, as you always say, it has not left anyone behind, Miriam. And Miriam, even sometimes when you tell me that the Kenyans don't know the BBI, I tell you, no, Miriam. This thing has been in the social media, it is in the FM station, and every Kenyan, even in the village, Miriam, these people know. So Miriam, what it is, they have done the right thing. And I know I told the other thing that some of these committee members, Parliament, Miriam, what they do, they enter the rooms, Miriam, to just only to sign attendance sheet so that they get allowances. So when you see them having these more days, Miriam, is that it is because they want to make money. You know, Miriam, when it comes to the counter assembly passing this bill and even Parliament, we are ahead of time because it talks about 3 months. And the members of the counter assembly, Miriam, they were able to do it under 1 month. So, and as by the timelines, Miriam, today we are on 7th, they could have done it by Sunday or Monday, on 5th. Yeah, on the 5th April. Everything is on course, Miriam. It will be in any event, even if they reviews, let them just go ahead and review Miriam. It will again come as the wish was trying to say to the people of Kenya. That document is ours. We will say it otherwise, but what I want to say is that, Miriam, this country is for all of us. We have to be very patriotic, Miriam. I wish that these members of Parliament, whom we have given the title to be honorable, Miriam, but some of the acts, Miriam, which they do, they become dishonorable, Miriam. They become horrible, Miriam. They are supposed to register, Miriam. Miriam, how do you trust people for 10 years who have refused to register onto that gender? It is why, it is because they don't love this country. If we have given ourselves into a document, and Miriam, if it is not working, there's nothing stops us saying that this one is not working. Let us try this. Even what we are trying to do under this amendment, Miriam, we are human beings. We are not God. If we make 100%, Miriam, this is not a Bible. We are making, Miriam. This is a Bible. A Bible has stood the test of time, Miriam. This is a constitution which we can change when we just, you come forward and say, guys, we did not do it, Miriam. Even some of this constitution is having terrible grammatical errors, Miriam. And they have got that kind of opportunity, Miriam, to come up with. And if they thought that there would be a conduit to parent, Miriam, for this one to pass, Miriam, we had an opportunity. They could have taken to the committee, Miriam, and they said, guys, we don't feel that we should be a conduit, parent, Miriam. So what I want to say, Miriam, I hope by next week, by the end of this week or next week, it will be tabled before Parliament, and Miriam, they will do what they are expected to do.
Okay.
And I'm happy that the Prime Minister and the President was able to meet this committee, and they say, Miriam, that we cannot be able to continue waiting. And as I don't know what Chairman was trying to say, Miriam, you know, Okongo Mogeni from Nyamira, the senator from Nyamira, is a lawyer. He's a senior counsel, Miriam. Mutura, the one for the National Assembly Committee, Miriam, he has been contesting for president even before you were born, from 1974. He has been consistently, and it's truly a very good reformer, Miriam. One day, Miriam, President Mwai Kibaki remarked that why do we need to trouble ourselves about the Constitution? We can give James Orengo, he sits in the room, and he can make a document for us, Miriam. So, Miriam, what I'm trying to say that they don't lack experts in that committee in Parliament. Mm-hmm. They have got enough expertise, Miriam. It was a matter of just buying time so that they get some of their allowances, which I call it unfair and patriotic of some of them. They have work they have been given by people of Kenya. Mm-hmm. They have to do it. They can't run away with it. In any event, you know, Miriam, we are having only less than 16 months and we will send 70% of them home because they should have worked. If we go by historical facts. But what I want to say that was a progress by those experts which you advise them that you cannot touch something which has come from the people of Kenya. It is the only people who have got powers now is Wesonga, is Musa, is myself, is you and Tawish and my sister here, who can go and vote no. And it can have a meaning if we can be able to master the majority. But to me, I'm voting yes.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, for tuning in wherever you are. We missed you on the show today. Daniel Wesonga. Daniel? Okay, so Daniel seems to have left that conversation. So I think that is where we end our show today. And on page 8 of the Standard newspaper yesterday, also I think on the same, says the Kigano BBI bill was popular initiative won't be amended. The National Assembly's Legal Affairs Committee chairperson Muturi Kigano has allayed fears that a joint parliamentary committee will introduce major amendments to the bill. And now we've read there, the joint parliamentary committee has said no amendments is expected there. So thank you so much. That is the latest, and we shall continue to see how this story will work out and what other issues now perhaps will come out, because once you think they've sorted one problem, they seem to want to create others. So, it's going to be a long process, but I don't know if it's possible to have that referendum in June. We shall see, owing to the issues surrounding this process. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Professor Jared Onyari, Sam Mutawish, Douglas Kirimi, Daniel Wesonga, Jevan Karanja, Musa Abdi, Washera, Marlene. And thank you for watching. I'll see you here at 3 p.m. with the news making headlines across the continent. My name is Mira Mogutu. This has been the People's Court. Bye-bye for now.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.